to make new disciples, nor has it claimed its unique identity in the community. In other words, when we ask you, what's the ministry that you ask somebody in town, what is Harrisonville United Methodist known by? Even you all go, I don't know. So we don't have a uniqueness about what we do that stands out in our community. Planning and goal setting techniques are currently not being effectively utilized for the staff or the church overall. The administrative structure appears to be cumbersome and ineffective to facilitate the mission and vision of the church. The structure of the organization fails to marry responsibility, authority, and accountability. You all do know how to meet in committees really well. I'm not sure you know how to make decisions, but you're really committeeing it to death. So that's a problem. Number 2, you with me still? All right. Sunday morning schedule and experience. There is a concern for the Sunday morning worship schedule and Sunday school. Those attending the 9:45 service miss the opportunity to attend Sunday school as it runs concurrently with Sunday school. It is also noted repeatedly in the mystery worshiper report, which is substantiated by the attendance reports, your own reports. The small size of the congregation is lost in the size of the worship spaces. The worship experience was noted as good by our mystery worshipers, but not particularly great, and not enough that they would come back. And so what we have is, I call that critical mass. You have a room that seats 300 people, and at 8:30 there's 50 of you. It looks like nobody's there. And even at 11, there's 110 of you in a room that seats 300. It still looks like nobody's there. You're in a gym that has 50 people in it that could have 200 people. It looks like nobody's here. So if you're a guest, what it looks like, nobody's here. And so it's just when you lose critical masses in your worship services, it's very hard to keep guests. They just won't stay. Even if it's good music, even if the preaching's good, even if things are good. They look around. You do it with restaurants. You look around and there's nobody here. You go, wow, it's a sinking ship. I'll try somewhere else. Go up to the Nazarene Church, which is the new competition in town, or Walmart. Probably Walmart. Does that make sense? That's what we're talking about there. So, the use of facility space, number 3. Although there is an ample space for existing ministries and worship, it appears the space could be used more efficiently and effectively to better serve children, youth, and adults alike. There is no dedicated spaces appropriate and appealing to children and young families. The greetings and fellowship space outside the sanctuary needs to be recreated to provide a more welcoming and guest-friendly atmosphere. The way you've got your children's stuff set up, it just stinks. I mean, it's like 1956. You've got chairs in your nursery that must have come from the old building. They got rust on them, for pity's sake. I mean, you got one children's room here and another one over here and then another one over here. I mean, that's just not, and none of it looks children friendly. There's not a computer in any room. I don't know if you know this, but most children today walk in with an iPhone in their pocket. And you're still handing out crayons and paper. It's got to change or they won't stay. They can't even learn that way. So if you'd really like them to learn the Bible, you're going to have to change how you teach the Bible. And so that's just, you got plenty of space. Actually, you got way more space than you need. You got space everywhere. It's just not arranged right, and that's easily fixable. And you don't need more space. My fear, you've done a big study about a new building thing. I appreciate all that. You don't need more building. You need to take the building you got and reconfigure it. If you get more building, you're going to drown. I'm actually, if you get smaller than you are in the building you have now, you're going to drown. The building, Cody will tell you, big building, small congregation lends to trouble. Am I close? Yeah. If you want to see how that works, drive to Belton. It's not even a big building, though. But when you get too much building and not enough congregation, it's trouble. So that's what that's all about. Number 4, hospitality and connections. Although the mystery worshipers report being greeted, let me start over. Although mystery worshipers reported being greeted for the most part, guests felt that there was not a genuine desire from the congregation to connect with them. Guests could not easily find information or people to help them learn more about the ministries or opportunities to meet their needs or desires within the church. Besides the lack of connecting with guests, the church is also disconnected from its community. The church needs to see Harrisonville as its, I'm going to say, primary mission field and create opportunities for a sense of urgency to start conversations with people that they do not know and build relationships that might lead them to Jesus Christ. So it wasn't that your greeters didn't greet people. They did. It's just that after that, nothing happened. Nobody talked to them. Nobody went up and said hello. If it weren't for George here, every greeter said, if it weren't for George, nobody would have talked to us except for the greeter. Give George some appreciation for all he's doing. But I appreciate George doing it, but friends, that won't get it. They need to feel a genuine connection with other people. And I'm like them. I never did find out where you would get a brochure that told you about the church. I've been here all weekend. I couldn't figure it out. The ones I found were a little dated. The website's good, though. I like the website. Scott's done a great job with the website. It's one of the best websites we've seen, which is a good thing because, by the way, 98% of all guests who visit your church have already checked out the website. They decided by the website whether to come visit your church. Now, you shouldn't be having the pastor do it all. Somebody else should be doing it, but that's a good thing. So, number 5, lack of leadership and discipleship development. There seems to be no clear pathway for either the development of leaders within this congregation or a focused, intentional plan for discipleship. Current members struggle to see how God has designed them to serve in the body of Christ and reproduce more disciples. In other words, how does one get from just sitting in the pew at your church to be an authentic follower of Jesus Christ? It's a bit of a mystery at Harrisonville how that happens, other than osmosis. How does one get trained to be a leader other than, hey, will you serve on that committee? Thanks. You know anything about the committee? No, we'll go anyway. It's okay. When you have 24 committees, that takes a lot of people that don't know what they're doing to serve on them. So we need to do some more intentional training of folks. Did I mention I might offend you when I started? I don't do it out of not caring. I care for, especially here, I care for you folks deeply. But there's some things you need to fix. Prescriptions. All right, ready to go? All right, number 1, mission, vision, planning, and structure. This one will seem pretty heavy and doesn't seem very exciting, but you need to figure it out. On the day of this consultation report is accepted, should that be the case, the congregation will take as its mission statement the making of new disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world. That is the mission statement of the United Methodist Church. In the book of discipline, if you're going to be United Methodist Church, that's your mission. That's easy. This means that every ministry in the congregation must demonstrate how it will accomplish the mission, and the new ministries need to have their primary purpose for making new disciples. Notice I keep putting new in there. So if you're in whatever ministry you're in here, you're going to have to start explaining, or you're going to have to start resulting some new disciples. Are you producing new disciples? If not, you have to ask, why are you here? We're not a social club. We're the Church of Jesus Christ. So if you're not making new disciples at whatever, then we have to ask whether you should be doing it. So the second part, the congregation will have a day of prayer. We always have a day of prayer. Always. If you start this without this experience of prayer, it will not work. It just becomes human stuff. On or before, and by the way, every prescription has a date it's going to be accomplished by and who's going to do it. So that you just don't put it on the shelf. That's what your coach is going to come back and do and help you make sure you accomplish it by the certain date. So that you just don't put it on the shelf. Not that you would do that here, but we have some churches that do that. The congregation have day of prayer on or before March 13th, 2011, conducted by the coach or a conference designee that will allow the membership to be fully prepared for the Lord's vision for the future of Harrisonville UMC. The coach will conduct a day of visioning for the congregation. I can't tell you what your vision is. A vision, when I read a vision statement, I don't need to memorize it, but it tells me how you're going, uniquely at Harrisonville, going to make new disciples. I mean, so I can tell you what the mission is because that's actually what Jesus told us, but I can't tell you uniquely how you're going to do it. You're going to have to wrestle with that. Because we're not McDonald's. Every church is different. You're different, trust me. You're just not the same as everybody else. I know that because I was born in Cass County, and I'm not the same as everybody else. That's what they tell me every day. Right, Cody? Yes. And you're to blame for it because I'm from here. Where was I at? Day of envisioning. The purpose of this day is to dream how God might want to work through this congregation, both individually and collectively, to reach this community. This day will occur on or before April 15th, 2011, following the day. The pastor, in conjunction with the coach and the administrative board of the church, will create a vision statement. This statement will be presented to the congregation on or before May 15, 2011. Do you hear the dates? Who's going to do it? Who's responsible? And the coach is going to help you. And you're also going to hear we're lodging more authority with the pastor. That's intentional. The church will adopt an accountability leadership model. For those of you who weren't here yesterday, you won't know what that is. You'll have to get with the folks who were, and we'll teach you some more about it. For staff and the structure of the church. The staff, paid and unpaid, and the lay teams will set goals. You're not doing that right now. You'll set goals and be held accountable to fulfill those goals based on the mission and the vision of the church. In this model, the board governs, the pastor leads, the staff, paid and unpaid, manage, and the congregation does hands-on ministry. The staff parish relations team, where is the staff parish relations chair? Is she in the room? That'd be you. In conjunction with the coach, and you may want to get with the coach before you leave today. She'd be right here. In conjunction with the coach and the pastor, we'll do a staff evaluation, role, function, and responsibilities, and realignment if necessary based on this new model of accountability. Quite frankly, you're spending 62% of your budget on staffing. That's a little high. It's not high if you're growing. It is high if you're stagnant. You're stagnant. You're just doing this. So what that tells me, when we're spending 60% of our budget on staffing, we need to do some evaluation and ask the question, do we have the right staff? Because typically across the country, that would tell me if we're heavy, we should be getting more fruit from that much energy going into it. Now, some of you have some real attachments to some of your staff. I'm not trying to be cruel, but you have to look at this and say, are we getting the fruit we're paying for? And so, and you're not. It's just you need to realign your staff. I don't know how yet, but we need to evaluate it, so that's going to take some work, and fix it. We're going to have set goals, hold people accountable. We want fruit at the end of the day. We want outcomes at the end of the day. Where was I at? If this report is accepted, the accountability model along with the single board model, so we're going to simplify your structure from 24 committees down to 1, plus the nominations committee. Are you breathing? Which means you'd have to trust some people. It's always interesting to me in my tribe, in the Methodist Church, the number one strength you have is you love each other, but when it comes to just having a few people run the place, you don't trust them. I don't really understand that. If you really love them, why don't you trust them? By the way, we also have a democracy here. If you don't like what they're doing, you can vote them back out. There's nothing permanent in a Methodist Church. It's a democracy.